Watch that game. Giants.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Scoop and Score, a football network sponsored by the ATS Spot. I'm FA Picks. I got Alpha. I got BBB with me, and we're here to break down NFL Week 2. Let's get right into it. Thursday night football, everybody. We have a mega matchup in the AFC West. We got the Chargers. We got the Chiefs. Both of these teams are coming into this game 1-0. The Chiefs looked absolutely dominant, beating the Cardinals. The Chargers lost a close one to the Raiders. Alpha, I'm going to throw this over to you, but question, is Patrick Mahomes better without Tyreek Hill? Because when he has multiple receivers that the defense can't count on, he looked pretty damn unstoppable.
I don't know if he's better without Tyreek Hill, but he definitely looked like a force last weekend. He was slinging it all over the field, and the Chiefs look like they're in midseason form. That being said, I'm on the Chargers this year. I'm on the Chargers bandwagon. I believe in Justin Herbert. I think that offense is doing a great job. They have no Keenan Allen this week, but I don't think that's going to be an issue here. I'm taking the Chargers by plus 4.5 here. I think they get it done. BBB, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think the Chargers are legit. I think the Raiders team, people are out on them a little early, but I think this Chargers team has just proved how actually good they really are. I think a scary play on this one, it's a system play, really is the under. Thursday unders with a total of 51 or more are 17, 8, and 1. It's a scary total. Don't get me wrong. It's one of those you got to close your eyes and do it. Any Thursday totals with over 54 are 7-0, and they usually cover by 14 points per game. So it's a scary one, but if you like systems, you got to trust the system, take under. I also lean with Alpha on the Chargers, though, with the points.
Guys, I love that play, BB. I love the under here. I think the Chiefs win, but the Chargers cover. I see this as a close game. I don't think Patty Mahomes has all the success he has, but I do think at the end of the day, he has that patent. Patty Mahomes drives, get him down the field, and they win this game by 2-3 points. Little worried about where Justin Herbert's going to find that fill-in spot that Keenan Allen's missing. It can't all be Mike Williams. Can't all be Austin Eckler. I'm a little bit worried about that. So I do think the Chiefs win this game, but I do think the Chargers cover. But my official play is under 54.5, following the system. BBB. Good play on that.
Love it.
All right, guys, let's keep it moving. We got the Lions and we got the Dolphins and the Ravens here, guys. Home opener here for Baltimore. They are minus 3.5. Lamar Jackson and crew took care of business against the Jets in week 1. It was never really a game, to be honest with you. But in my opinion, guys, that's more about the Jets than it is the Ravens. On the other side, I can say the same thing about the Dolphins. They took care of business against Patriots, but Patriots looked terrible. Tua looked okay. Tyreek Hill looked great. Jalen Waddle looked great. Alpha, what do you think of this one?
Man, let's first start off and talk about this Miami team. Are you guys believers in this Miami Dolphins team this year? BBB, I'm going to ask you. What do you think?
I'm not fully set on this again because I do think this was both week ones, their opponents looked pretty rough. I think that as far as a pick wise in this one, I think you got to go with the points in this one simply because both teams are not very proven. I think both teams can be good. The Ravens looked pretty bad in that first half, especially Lamar. He turned it up in the second half, but again, it was against a Jets team that was starting to get banged up, and they did what they were supposed to be doing the entire game. So I lean with the plus 3.5, but I think this is a prove-it week for both teams.
Yeah, I'll go next year, guys. I'm also on the plus 3.5 here. I think this game ends by a field goal. Not exactly sure who wins it. It's going to go back and forth, and I think this game ends in a last-minute field goal. Because of that, I'm taking the dog plus 3.5. Hefe, what do you think?
I'm going to roll with you guys here. I'm going to roll with the Dolphins plus 3.5. What I saw against the Jets from Lamar Jackson, I just can't imagine that Duvernay and Bateman are going to get it done every week, man. I just can't imagine this. While on the other side, Tua might be throwing ducks, but at least he's got two absolute studs at wide receiver. Maybe it's a little too early to call Jalen Waddle a stud, but I'll tell you what, man, in his 1 year, in his one game this year, he's been nothing less but fantastic. And I think he's going to be the one to benefit the most from Tyreek Hill and all the attention that he deserves. Rolling with you guys. Fins plus 3.5. All right, guys, let's keep it moving here. We're going to go over to the Commanders and the Lions. The Lions might have lost in week 1, but once again, they cover, man. They came storming back in that game, making it a 3-point game. They had an opportunity to possibly have a game-ending drive, but they just couldn't get the Eagles' offense off the field. Wasn't that impressed with Philly, honestly, but they got the win. On the other side, the Commanders won, but damn, Carson Wentz did everything in his power to try to lose that game, throwing 2 just Carson Wentz-y type of interceptions in the fourth quarter, but they ended up beating the Jags, both of these. So now we got these two teams facing each other, and I'm going to tell you this. The Lions are favorites. And why that's crazy? Because it's the first time that they're favorites since November of 2022, full seasons. BBB, do you have the cojones to ride with the favorites here?
I'm gonna ride with the Lions in this one. I think they just looked better last week. Yes, it was a backdoor cover, but the Lions they got the run game going. When they stuck with the run game with Swift, they looked like a good football team. And maybe it's the hard knock syndrome that we talked about last week, but I think this is a decent football team. They're playing for their coach. He's a player's coach type of guy, and I think they get up for this game. Like you said, the Commanders just did not look that good last week. They limped to the finish line. Plenty of mistakes. Their second half, they had like 30 total yards. It was just a nightmare. I think the Lions get it done at home, especially when you can get them on the money line at a really cheap price. I'm going to rock with them on the money line here at like minus 125 right now.
I like it. If I were to take a side here, that's definitely the way I would go. But it really scared me last week watching the Detroit defense. Philly could do anything they wanted. Anytime they wanted to go down the field, they can score. Detroit's offense looks legit. We all know Swift's a monster. He had a huge game, 15 carries, 144 yards and a tutty. He had a 50-yard rush as well. But all that being said, I do not trust this Detroit Lions defense. With that being said, I'm taking the over 48.5. I think Washington's going to give up a lot of points as well. And let's get a ton of points in this one. Love the over.
Rolling with the Lions here, man. I think this team is a motivated bunch. They want to win this game for their coach. They want to get that home win so badly for their fans. And this is a perfect matchup too. You got a team that, yes, they won, but it was ugly. They're still trying to find their identity. And let's not call the Jaguars a really tough team to beat. You know, I think the Lions can have success against this Commander team, and I'm going to take them on the money line here at minus 125. All right, guys, let's keep on rolling. All right, this is a big game. We got the Bucs, we got the Saints. In week 1, Tom Brady did what Tom Brady does, drive his team into the red zone pretty much every damn possession. Not a lot of touchdowns there, but he did what it takes to win the game. And that's all that you got to do. On the Saints side, how they won is nothing short of a miracle. They were down by 16 points heading into the fourth quarter. They even missed the second 2-point conversion to tie the game and somehow still ended up winning on a game-ending field goal. But that must be more about the Falcons' defense. BB, I mean, you were watching. They went into prevent in like the start of the fourth quarter. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it was a sweat, I'll tell you that. But I do like this game here. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. Little trend here. I am going to be riding this year. You can find this in every single week. You take the team that didn't cover last week against the team that did cover. The Saints didn't cover. They ended up winning the game, but they didn't cover the game. Tampa Bay did cover this game. I like the Saints in this one. They looked phenomenal in the second half. They got Michael Thomas more involved. It started to look like some veteran, Saints football there. So we saw Tampa Bay. They struggled offensively in the red zone. They struggled. They had some more injuries. It's likely that they won't have, a couple of their top guys this week. Their offensive line is still going to be very banged up. I think the Saints at home, it's going to be a dangerous game, and I think the Saints can get this one done here.
Here's my question to you, BBB. Was it indicative of how good the Tampa Bay Bucs are going to be, or was it indicative of how bad the Dallas Cowboys were from Sunday night? Because to me, Dallas was in shambles, and the Bucs couldn't put them away. It was field goal, field goal, field goal. They kept getting great field position, but they could not put the Cowboys away. They won 19-3, but they didn't look good doing it. Did you feel confident that the Bucs are a good team after that game?
I think the Bucks are going to be a good team. I chalk both sides of that up to a little bit of a week one, a little bit of a rough start for both of them. I think the red zone offense, they're not going to only be held to one field goal this time, or to one actual touchdown this time for the Bucks. And I also don't think the Cowboys are going to be as bad. Yes, it sucks they lost Dak, but I do think they're going to get a little more healthy throughout the year, and they will be maybe a later push for them compared to the Bucks. But I think that things will turn. Some of that I chalk up to week one, a little bit of rookiness and going on to the season.
Yeah, a little early jitters, but to me, I really am not impressed with the Tampa Bay offense. Their defense is legit. We knew they'd still be legit. And because of that, I'm taking the under in this spot, under 44.5. New Orleans made a great comeback. They had a great game as well. We have to go against who they were playing, too. One of the worst defenses in the league. So I think we're going to see a much better defensive battle here. I think we're going to see a running style game, and we'll see this go considerably under the 44.5.
I think it's absolutely paramount that the Saints try to get Alvin Kamara more involved in their game plan. They did a great job in the second half of getting people like Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas involved, and both of those guys had incredible games. I believe Jarvis Landry set the record for most reception yards for a debut for the Saints. So he's going to be a great player for that team. He already has a connection with Jameis. Olave didn't even get involved, and he was their top pick. So you can imagine how that offense is going to be moving once they have everything clicking. I'm going to buy the Saints up to +3. I think they might even get the outright win here. The Saints are a scary team, and if Jameis could just limit mistakes, and once he meshes fully with this offense and this new system under Dennis Allen, I think this is going to be a really hard team to beat. Taking the Saints at +3, I'm buying it up a half point. All right, guys, let's keep it moving. Panthers, Giants. Stop me if you heard this. The Giants won. The Giants are 1-0. Brian Daboll showed some big-time guts by going for it for 2, down by 1 with less than a minute left. Saquon punched it in, and the rest is history. Yeah, Randy had to miss a field goal, but we don't talk about that. We're going to talk about how Saquon has looked the best that he has in 2 years. He looks shifty, strong, dynamic, and fast. This team looks motivated by their new coaching staff. They look like a new team. You got the Panthers on the other side. They're coming into town. Baker and company lost a tough one. Wasn't that impressed with Baker, but the loss was definitely not his fault. He didn't play great, but he didn't make a bad mistake late in the game. Their defense just couldn't stop a Jacoby Brissett-led offense that marched down the field with 30 seconds left and got a game-winning field goal. It's more on the defense, and that's what I'm worried about. I'll start with this one first, guys. I'm taking the Giants. I think we start 2-0 here. I'm taking them on the money line. I don't want the points. -130. I think this is a team that is right now doesn't have an identity, but is slowly going to morph into a run-first RPO type of team. Daniel Jones has sneaky good elusiveness and quickness on the edge, and if they can just somehow make Kenny Golladay an NFL wide receiver, maybe we can get some wins together. I'm rolling with the Giants on the money line here. Alpha, what do you think?
Maybe we do need Kenny Golladay to start coming around, but let's just talk again about Saquon Barkley. 18 carries, 164 yards, 9.1 yards per carry average with a touchdown. On the receiving side, 6 receptions, 30 yards. The guy was absolutely back, and the Giants actually have an offensive line this year. They invested heavy in the O-line, and they look a lot better. New coaching staff looks great. The team really seemed to rally around Daboll. That being said, can we trust the Giants to go 2-0? I'm not sure. But I'll tell you this, Hefe, I am riding with you 100% on the Giants on the money line. Let's get to 2-0. BBB, tell us why you're on the Panthers.
Look, guys, I was on the Giants last week. I was on them on the money line. I was on them on the spread. I love the way that Saquon looked. I think fantasy owners are pumping their fist right now after that draft, after seeing how he came out in week 1. But I think this game is going to mean a little bit more to the Panthers. I know that that Baker Mayfield came out and he, talked about how it wasn't the Super Bowl last week. But, if you go down to 0-2, especially to losing to the Giants, and even though I do think the Giants are a good team this year, they're going to be very competitive. The narrative is going to switch a lot for that team. So I think with McCaffrey and the weapons, I think it's going to be a tight game. Don't get me wrong, but I lean towards the Panthers here, especially if you stick with the system of the teams that didn't cover versus the teams that did cover going last week. I think the Panthers get it out and squeak out a close one here. But again, like I said, I think New York fans got a lot to look forward to this year because I think they're going to be competitive in at least every game, and I think they can squeak out 6-7 wins this year.
All right, respect it. All right, guys, let's keep it moving here. Moving on, we have Patriots, Steelers. I guess it really doesn't matter who the heck the quarterback is for the Pittsburgh Steelers. As long as Mike Tomlin coaches, they will play their absolute heart out. And that's what they did last week. They played one of the craziest games ever, missed field goals, missed opportunities by both teams. But at the end of the day, the Steelers made the last field goal in overtime to beat the Bengals and start 1-0. Mitch Trubisky didn't wow me, but he also didn't upset anybody. He did what it takes to win that game, and that defense did the rest. Couple injuries to report. TJ Watt is out for a few weeks, I believe 6 weeks with a torn pec, no surgery. That's a humongous loss for them. He got an interception. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. On the other side, Najee Harris sprained his foot. He already had a Liz Frank issue, but apparently, by the grace of God, he is healthy and ready to go for week 2. And fantasy owners everywhere are taking a deep breath. Patriots, that was a tough one. Tough showing against the Miami Dolphins last week. Mac Jones just didn't look much of anything. That offense didn't look much of anything. And that defense struggled to quiet down Tua and their offensive players. Alpha, I'll start off with you, man. What do you think you got here? Pittsburgh, home opener, 1-0. Fans going to be going nuts.
Yes, they are. One quick thing I want to touch on about Pittsburgh. I know we talked about Najee Harris's injuries. It's now plural in the injuries. He has multiple injuries to the same foot. He had 10 carries for 23 yards. We have to call it what it is. He's not going to be that effective this year with the multiple injuries. We said it last week on the show. It truly looks like he's really going to be damaged goods. How are they just going to keep trotting him out there if he's going to be ineffective and keep getting banged up? To me, I'd probably rest him so we can get healthy for later on in the year. That being said, I'm not impressed with the Patriots offense. I don't think anybody's impressed with that Patriots offense. They definitely did not look good. And I think the Steelers are going to struggle. Give me the under 40.5. It's a low total, but I think this is going to stay low. Against the high-scoring team last week against the Bengals, they kept it to a 23-20 game. I expect this one to stay just under that total. Let's cash it under. BBB, what you think?
I like that. I lean towards the under as well. This one also fits the system. If you guys want to ride this throughout the year, it's going to be, you're going to get 6 to 7 plays every week. So you could blindly tail that and you're going to get it. But the whole teams that cover versus don't. I like New England in this one. It fits that system. I think a lot of people are going to be out on New England. I think a lot of people are going to be out on, Mac Jones. He struggled in week 1. But this is a Bill Belichick team. I think, they beat themselves. That's the one thing the Patriots don't normally do is beat themselves. If you beat them, tip their hat, they'll take the loss. But they beat themselves in last week's game. And I think that we see a lot of those mistakes cleaned up. And like Alpha said, I think that Najee's banged up. And that's not even a think. That's like a fact. So I think that they're going to struggle to replicate that. They're coming off a divisional road win where they were a dog. I think it's a letdown spot for them against the New England team that obviously is looking to sharpen up some things. So I'm going to rock with New England on the money line here.
I'm right there with you, actually. I'm going to take New England, too. Look, the Patriots put up 7 points, but on the defensive side, they only allowed 65 rush yards against the Dolphins. We've been talking about Najee Harris being, very injured. He's still going to give it a go. Their leading rusher last week was Chase Claypool.
Yep.
So if the Patriots can load this box and make the Steelers one-dimensional, meaning that Mitch Trubisky has to go out and win this game, that's not something I put my money on. And I'm going to go and trust that Bill Belichick is going to absolutely get his guys ready to go and not start 0-2. I'm going to take the Patriots on the money line at minus 130 odds.
Let's keep it moving, boys. What do we got next?
What do we got? Seahawks and Niners. This is a 4:00 game next week. The Niners are minus 9.5, even though Trey Lance, in my opinion, looked like he's going to get replaced by Jimmy G in week 3. They lost to the Bears, and that is not something that should happen in week 1 when you have Super Bowl aspirations, or when you have a $7 million backup quarterback who just led you to championship games in a Super Bowl a couple years ago. But that's another story for another time. The Niners they did not look great. They really didn't. I can't believe they lost that game. And on the other side, Seattle probably had the greatest win they've had in years. Geno Smith did what it takes. They beat the Broncos. Yes, the Broncos had probably one of the worst coaching time management decisions I've ever seen in football, but that doesn't matter. The Seahawks did what it takes to win the game, and guess what? Geno looked okay. He looked like he can hold his own, and the Broncos D is a top 5 rated D. San Francisco isn't. 9.5 is a lot of points. Alpha, what do you think?
The line doesn't make sense. Geno Smith, 9-0 his last 9 starts. Comes in off a huge W. San Fran banged up. They lost Elijah Mitchell. He'll be done for 2 months, it looks like. They lost outright. And you're telling me that this Seattle team is plus 9.5? Something's fishy about this line. Because of that, I'm staying off this game. Obviously, I have a strong lean on the Seahawks, but I think most people have a strong lean on the Seahawks. I think I'm going to have to lay off. BBB, do you think this is a trap? Do you think this is when Vegas is trying to get you to bite the bullet here? What do you think?
I think this is a trap, just like they set the trap in the week prior using the Seahawks. The Seahawks had their moment last week. The stars aligned, and even then they got a little bit lucky. Two, fumbles on the 1 yard line, literally on the 1 yard line. That's 14 points taken away right there. I think they're going to be in for it a little bit here. I mean, Geno played the best game he possibly could, and they did everything they possibly could at home, and they pulled out that win. But I don't think they can get as lucky this week. San Francisco was in an absolute monsoon. I mean, it was like they were playing in a hurricane. I think they look a little bit better this week. I think this is a sucker's bet here. I think the San Francisco wins by 10 or more this week.
Kittle's back as well. Kittle is back as well for San Fran.
Look, I also think it's a bait play. 9.5 is a lot of points. I do think the Niners win this game, but I'm not comfortable taking it at 9.5. I'm going to roll with the teaser option here. I'm going to buy the 6 points. I'm going to bring it down to 3.5. I think the Niners win this game by 4 or 5 points, maybe a touchdown at most. I need to see Trey Lance have a good game. I need to see Trey Lance be more than a game manager and get something out of this offense. But no offense to him, when your top receiver is Jennings, who has 4 receptions, 62 yards, what are you working with? Hopefully Kittle coming back can help that and free up some space. Because at the end of the day, Debo does line up at wide receiver, right? At least that's what I remember.
No. We talked about this all game watching. Debo was right back to being a running back for half this game. Very interesting.
I think that can change week to week, to be honest. And I think
I think it will. That's my point, BB. I think that's 100% changing completely this game. That did not work.
Yeah, it was also a monsoon. I think it's going to be a week-to-week basis, to be 100% honest, and it's going to be dependent on what teams they're playing. When if they struggle more against the run, you could see Debo getting pounded down the middle, and if they need him underneath on some drag routes, you could see that as well. He's multi-dimensional, and they're going to use him like that.
I like it. All right, guys, keep moving. Cardinals, Raiders, Las Vegas home opener. That stadium is going to be energized as it is for every game. Cardinals, week 1, just did not show up. I mean, probably the most embarrassing game of the week in terms of showing, in terms of expectations. They weren't even in the game ever. That game was over at halftime. Pat Mahomes never had any type of an issue, never had any stress getting up and down the field. On the other side, let's remember that Chiefs defense was nothing to write home about, and Kyler Murray couldn't get much of anything going. Now you're going into Vegas, and Vegas had a tough loss against the Chargers. Chargers are going to be a great team. That's no default on Vegas. Devontae Adams did Devontae Adams things. He put up great numbers. Him and Carr are going to have that ultimate connection. It's that defense that I'm worried about. But in this game, guys, I mean, I'm going to throw it over to you, Alpha. I know what you got, and I agree with you already. So tell him.
Yeah, so this is going to be my play of the week. I'll let that out early. By far, I love the over in this matchup. Arizona's defense is going to be a liability for them all season long. And Vegas is going to come out throwing the ball. They proved to be most effective throwing the ball against the Chargers. They didn't get the win, but they were most effective when they aired the ball out. They're going to do that against Arizona, and they will get some long touchdowns. Arizona will get some points as well. Oakland's defense is better, but still not a great defense. And the over, by far, is my favorite play of the week. BBB, what do you think about the over in this matchup? The over is currently at 51.5.
I do lean with the over as well. I think I like the Raiders a bit more just because I don't think that the Cardinals defense is going to be able to put much of a fight here. I think it's a similar type of slinging offense we're going to see from the Raiders. And this Cardinals defense proved that they can't really stop that style of an offense last week against the Chiefs. This time they got Devontae Adams and more stars. Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow is going to be carving them up. I think they're going to struggle heavily against pass game. I think that they're going to be getting thrown all over. And, the Raiders defense is a little bit better than the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense is nothing to write home about. I think that they'll be able to get the stops that they need. I think they win this by a touchdown plus. So I'm taking the Raiders minus the 5 here.
I'm rolling with you, Alf. I'm taking the over. I think these are two teams that have capable offenses in the Raiders and the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals defense is going to be a problem, like you said. And I'm not a believer in the Raiders defense. I can see this game going the Raiders' way, maybe like a 32-27 type of a vibe, something like that. So I'm a little worried about the spread, but I think we're going to see points. It's going to be electric. It's going to be a big-time passing game. A lot of passing yards. I'm rolling with the over. All right, guys.
Thanks, brother.
Keep it rolling. All right. What if I told you one of these teams was 0-1 and one of these teams is 1-0, but it's the Bears who are 1-0 and the Packers who are 0-1. We are in Green Bay for Sunday Night Football, and it's the team that Aaron Rodgers owns. They're coming into Green Bay. It's Green Bay's home opener. Aaron Rodgers must be absolutely livid after putting up absolutely much of nothing against the Vikings. The Bears looked good, solid, doable. They got to win. It's terrible conditions. Justin Fields did what it takes. He looked like the better second-year quarterback last week out of the sophomore quarterbacks in terms of Fields and Lance. I'll tell you that 100%. But this is different. You're in Green Bay. It's the Packers. They know you very well, and they are very mad. The line is a colossal 10. BBB, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I got, just a few letters for you guys. RELAX, relax, Packer Nation here. The Pack lost, on 2 easy TDs against a good team. I think this Vikings team is going to be phenomenal this year. The Bears won in a monsoon. And at the end of the day, this is still Aaron Rodgers versus Chicago. Every against the spread trend in A-Rod's favor here. He's home fave, division fave, home prime time after a loss versus the Bears. All of them are 64% or better. And LaFleur's 9-0 against the spread after a loss. I think that, everyone's going to be in on the Bears. Everyone's out on the Packers, but I think the Packers bounce back this week. I know it's a wide spread, but most of the time we see the Packers play the Bears, it's a wide margin. So everyone, like he says, he owns the Bears. So I think that continues, and I'm rocking with the Packers here.
I mean, based off exactly what you said, here's a good stat for you. Aaron Rodgers is 22-5 against the Bears in his career. He owns the Bears. He's going to tell them that on Sunday, and he's going to show it yet again. I don't usually like to play these big lines, but Packers off a bad loss, home opener, divisional game, and the Bears with a win. Give me the Pack -9.5, one of the bigger lines that I'm playing. Hefe, what do you think?
This is the second half of my teaser, guys. I'm taking the Packers to -4. I don't think I need it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to patch them along with the Niners at 3.5 here. I think the Packers smoke them. I think they come in. I think Aaron Rodgers is screaming at wide receivers this week. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, they got to step up. The Chicago defense ain't much anything. This is the Packers, and I think Aaron Rodgers puts the team on his back and gets the win here. So we're going to take him at a teaser with the Niners. Going to buy the Packers down to -4. All right, guys, let's keep it moving. We got 2 Monday Night Football games. The doubleheader this week is the doubleheader this year is on week 2, which I think is kind of weird. But anyway, the early game is the Titans and the Bills. The Titans, they didn't look great. They look like they have issues, and if I can use one word to describe them, messy. They just looked messy. Derrick Henry did Derrick Henry things. The defense looked not so great. The offensive line got bullied. Tannehill wasn't bad. He actually, I think, in my opinion, had a great game. If you guys remember, he had a really amazing pass to put them into field goal range. Treylon Burks in that last drive. I thought the window for that pass was this big. He got it in there. So I'm not blaming Tannehill, but the team just didn't look like a team. You know what I mean? On the other side, the Bills are my Super Bowl favorite. They looked like the epitome of a team. They looked unstoppable. Von Miller is like Benjamin Button. He's getting better as he's getting older. Josh Allen looks unstoppable. And who let Gabriel Davis become a wide receiver 1? Because that's wild. This is another colossal line. A little bit of disrespect to a team that was a top seed in the playoffs last year. -10 for the Bills at home. It's in Buffalo. The Mafia is going to be going bonkers. Alpha, what do you think?
Yeah, guys, I'm with Hefe. Buffalo is my Super Bowl favorite as well. I just think they're the by far best team in the league. And Tennessee, you know what really struck me as the most indicating of that team is that Derrick Henry's time as being one of the best running backs in the league is over. All the years of injuries, all the years of being a bigger back and taking physical hits have taken a toll on Derrick Henry. There was a play where Tay Crowder came in the hole, put his shoulder down, and de-cleated Derrick Henry. Tay Crowder is not a big tackler. He's not a great defensive player. We know that. But he got Derrick Henry in the air with a shoulder tackle. You just never see that before. And I really do think that this is going to be the downfall of Derrick Henry and the Titans. I think they missed their window. I think they know that. That's what they shipped out A.J. Brown, and they didn't get a lot of pieces. So I do think it's going to be a bad year for Tennessee. All that being said, I do like the over in this matchup. I know I took a lot of unders so far, but I think the Bills are going to get up and up early. And the only way the Titans are going to be able to compete in this game is a full-out aerial attack. So I think we're going to see a lot of passing plays, a lot of incompletion, stops the clock, and the Bills are going to keep pounding it on. We will see the Titans get points in the second half.
But before I let you go, you know what's crazy? Derrick Henry still averaged 4.1 yards per carry, which which is above league standards, which you would take any day.
Absolutely. But it's not Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry averages a lot higher than that, and he also has some big impactful runs. It just seems like he can't get through the big tackle anymore and break a million guys. Age does creep up on you eventually, but like I said, I am on the over in this play.
I'm not going to hit the panic alarm yet on Derrick Henry. Week 1, he still averaged 4.1 again, which, if that's a bad week, then man, that just says how great of a running back you are. But so we'll see if he can get back to form. But I do like the Titans here. It's a scary play here, plus 10. I think it's just the way the Titans play football, to be 100% honest with you. They play a style of football where you can beat any team, but you can lose any team. And we saw that last week with the Giants. They kept them in the game. They don't really aerial attack anybody to put anyone out of a game. They just run the football. They grind it out. And it keeps them in every game, but it also can lose you games. So I think that's why we saw them lose last week to the Giants, but I think it can keep it close here as well. If they try to go to the straight aerial attack, I think they lose by a billion because, I agree with you guys. I think Buffalo is the clear Super Bowl favorite at the current moment, but I think that Tennessee is going to do what they do best most of these times. It's what they did in the playoffs against the Chiefs. It's how they stop these high-powered offenses. They make them play their style of football. They're going to grind this game out, and so I'm going to rock with the plus 10 here.
Big belief in Derrick Henry, if that's the approach.
I've seen this Bills team just look great for the last year or so now. I really love this offense and how they have become multidimensional now. God forbid they ever get a feasible NFL running back. I don't know how anybody would ever stop them because right now, I think you guys would agree their best running back is called Josh Allen, and he's a hell of a freaking running back, let me tell you that. But you can't have your franchise putting his body on the line like he does. So I think points are going to be scored by this Bills team. I'm taking their over on touchdowns. It's 3.5. I see this team scoring 4 touchdowns. If Tennessee is going to win this game, they got to keep up. And mind you, they can. Like I said, Tannehill isn't the issue here. It's the defense. So I'm going to take Buffalo over 3.5 team total touchdowns. It's at minus 120 odds. My play on this game. Whether the Bills win or not, they're going to put up points. If Tennessee wants to cover, they got to put up points. I don't see this as a low-scoring game.
So you bet on the Tennessee total team touchdown. Say that 5 times fast.
Buffalo total touchdown.
Buffalo total teams touchdown.
No, Tennessee total touchdown is something I don't want. It's at 3.5. Yeah, minus 120 odds, guys. That's what I'm rolling with. Bills to score 3.5 touchdowns. All right, let's move on to the last game on the slate, the second Monday night doubleheader. The Vikings, Eagles, both teams 1-0. Vikings beat up the Packers. It wasn't a contest. Justin Jefferson looked like the best wide receiver in football. Man was putting up video game numbers. On the other side, the Eagles, they did what it takes to win. It got choppy late, a little scary, but when that offense was rolling and Jalen Hurts was being the dynamic two-way quarterback that he is, that Lions defense had no chance. They were just flat out guessing. If that's the style of offense they're going to run, that quick read offense where Jalen Hurts is really in control of the huddle and in control of the play calling, they're going to be a very fast-moving team and a hard team to match up. But the Vikings defense is way better than the Lions defense. I'm sorry, and I'll start this one off, guys. I'm going to take the Vikings on the money line in Philadelphia. That's right. I'm taking Kirk Cousins to win a primetime game, guys. I know that the Eagles have a great secondary. They revamped it. They got Slay. They added Bradbury amongst other players. Justin Jefferson looks like the greatest wide receiver we have seen in a while after that first game. It was just throw it up and catch it. And by the way, Jair Alexander, the number 1 rated cornerback in the league, was on him all game, and he made him look like a fool. Darius Slay ain't no Jair Alexander. I think Jefferson's going to have another great game. I see Cook having a better game. They didn't even get Thielen that involved. People are forgetting about how great of a slot receiver he is. I'm taking the Vikings here. I think their offense is better than the Eagles. I think their defense is too. Vikings on the money line, plus 115.
I'm going to have to agree with you here. I think the Vikings, this is the year. We've been waiting. They've been right around the cuff. They've been a good team for a while, and this is the year they take the next step. All the younger guys have come up exactly how they've wanted them to and have hoped to. Look at Justin Jefferson. As you said, arguably the best receiver in the league. In my opinion, the definitive best receiver in the league. He looked absolutely unguardable, and Kirk was putting the ball where Kirk needed to put the ball. The O-line held up. I really like this Vikings team. This is going to be the last week I think they're ready to get some serious value on the Vikings.
What you just said is it. This is the last time that Vegas is going to give you that, hey, If you think this team's going to win, you take them now, because after this, it's going to be -5s, -6, -7s. And I don't love Kirk Cousins in those situations, but when you're in the money and a very low odds, I love this situation. What do you think, BB?
I'm not going to lie. I kind of lean towards the Eagles here, but I do think this game can be a toss-up. I could see them struggling after that big win against the Packers. That's like the big thing to do in the division. And now you're going from a home game against your big division rival all the way to a road game against a Philadelphia team that looked good, but was also on the road in a tough environment against a Lions team that is fired up. They had that week 1 momentum going with them. So I think that they definitely sharpen some edges there on that defense there. But I think this is going to be, it could go either way. I mean, if Minnesota blows them out here, then, we know that they are like super legit, but I'm going to rock with Philly here. I think this is kind of a letdown spot for Minnesota, but I agree with you guys 100%. I think Minnesota is going to be very good this year. It's just a tough spot here for them on the road, especially with the prime time, like you guys said.
All right, guys. Well, you heard it here, guys. Everybody here, except for BBB, agrees that the Vikings are the better team. But for some reason, he's going to roll with the Dirty Birds. Whatever, man. Have fun with that. Anyway,
there's
guys.
letdown spots, man.
Can I ask you guys a question before we get out of here? I think the Vikings are going to win the division. Do you?
I agree.
I think so, too.
That's
like the Giants in the Super Bowl, baby.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been Scoop Score Football Network, sponsored by the ATS Spot. We just went through all the games for you in week 2, and we'll be back in week 3 to do the same thing again. Let's cash.